You're listening to Ernestly Speaking, the only weekly podcast that covers friends, foes, and anything that goes. And now, for your badass host, Ernest Owens.
And we're back with a special edition episode of Ernestly Speaking with your host, Ernest Owens, myself. Well, you know, somebody lied. Somebody lied. The election results are pretty much in. Donald Trump will be reelected as president. He won because it looks like white people. I mean, white women, white men. They showed up, and Latino voters. Couple other groups of color. Black women, black men pretty much understood the assignment. Of course, we do. There wasn't enough Asian voters to really shake anything. Latino voters, look, when I tell people, I mean people of color, I'm just going to say black now because, it's, anti-blackness is real. It's you can't just say people of color like as if everybody, but look, decisions were made. I mean, I think for me, it's not even like, I mean, I could get technical, right? I could say, boom, 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 boom. Pennsylvania, she lost. Philly underperformed. Those other counties and areas across Pennsylvania definitely showed up and showed red. It's looking like Attorney General race is going to go to Dave Sunday, the Republican. Senator Bob Casey looks like he's going to lose his Senate seat. Of course, Malcolm Kenyatta lost. The Republicans have taken back the Senate. House races, we're still trying to see if that's going to happen. Somebody lied. I know it wasn't me. I mean, clearly my community, the black community, because that's all I can speak about right now is black people. I don't know. Somebody lied. And, it's, she had to defend the blue wall. At this point, the other states, it don't even matter. He's got 277. You got to have 270 to win. The election actually was wrapped up the night of, pretty much. We didn't even have to do all the long vote count, drag it out. I mean, it's pretty much a wrap at this point. I mean, at this point, to be honest, I mean, I posted on Instagram something that's already been getting a lot of traction. White people. The anti-blackness was real, but we'll start on point one. White people. White people. This what y'all did. A lot of you all who normalize this and both sides this, well, you did your big one. You did your big one. Finding common ground. Okay. Both sides. We got to see both sides. Okay. A convicted felon has been reelected president of the United States. Decency, decorum, meritocracy. I guess it don't apply to white men. It does not. The double standards are there. I'm not playing objectivity at this point. I'm not doing it. You break it, you bought it. You bought it, you break it. It look, you did it. White women, please go talk to yourselves. Go talk to yourselves. Go figure this shit out for yourselves. Don't tell me you're worried. Don't tell me you're scared. I don't care. I don't. Go. You know, whatever your suburban Western PA circles are doing, those are the people y'all ain't together. Y'all spend so much time talking to black men, telling us about what we gonna do. There was some surprising weird numbers in certain parts, Milwaukee, other places. But we were never the ones. There was so much energy on us to save democracy that we didn't learn 8 years ago. This man literally ran the worst campaign, but I guess it was the best campaign because he done something that hasn't been done in modern history. A president that loses re-election and then turns around, runs again, and wins again. So, you know. And I could say I have flashbacks to when I was like, Biden, stay on, baby. Hold on, Biden, because only a white man can be the white man. That's what my initial thoughts were in the very, very beginning. But I said no. They really, maybe there's something there. I'm not going to fault myself. I'm going to give myself grace. I'm not going to even go in the what went wrong. How did this go wrong? Racism, white supremacy, self-inflicted sexism. It's not me. It's not my fault. Look, I believed and had hope and optimism because I believe that is a good trait to have. But at the end of the day, I did what I could do. How much I could do it with what I had. So I'm not even going to go into self-deprecation and all the, oh, what did you do? Could I had, no, this ain't my problem. This is a white people's problem, child. And Latinos, yeah, because y'all, this is what y'all voted for. Y'all gave him the thumbs up. So y'all gonna have to have these conversations in y'all communities and y'all spaces because it's not a conversation. Black women and black queer people specifically, exit polling shows, we did our big one. I am not at fault. Don't ask me for shit. It's time for some people to do some self-reflection, some inward reflection, and figure it out. Because it is not on me, and it's not on a particular day where everybody else. Y'all got to have these conversations at Thanksgiving, not me. Thanksgiving, everybody in my house, we gonna eat, we gonna keep the faith, but Thanksgiving is not gonna be uncomfortable for us. He talked all that election fraud and then won, child. You see, I talked about Philly and all this. He was just prepared to lose, and he won because he is a rich white man. And a rich white man is going rich white man. And the rest of this country aspires to that level of wealth and, and masculinity, right? They aspire to that. They find that as a standard. And so that standard continues. He could do anything he want and still get the White House. And that's because other people vote against their own interests. But white people, period. I mean, that's just the first part. So let me just get that on out the way. The anti-blackness was real because anybody who isn't black in this voting block just really, and anti-blackness can be happening within the community as well. Let me be very clear about that. But you just didn't want a black woman, and it was made very clear. And you all, cut your nose and smite your face. So you got what you wanted. And now don't ask black women, don't ask black queer people, don't ask anybody on that super voter block. Don't ask for my assistance. I'm going to give what I can give, what I want to give. I'm not in service to anybody but the people who are in the place to receive. I'm not debating and arguing with anybody about these issues unless I'm getting a check. And the check better be nice because I'm not doing it for free. And we need to learn. No, we don't. No, 2020 happened. Racial uprisings happened. 2016 happened. I mean, this is what you want. This is what you want. And so if this is what you want, you get what you ask for, and you got to go figure it out because it's not what I wanted. So This is what you voted for. This is what you was okay with. You got to go figure it out now. Now, I said POC solidarity is an illusion. It is an illusion. I don't know. I've been noticed this even in queer spaces. Like, the solidarity of all these communities was just, I mean, I've known for a while as a Black person, but the solidarity was just not there. And when you're looking at these numbers, it's obvious that everybody was not on the same page. There are people who value their proximity to whiteness, and they recognize that proximity to whiteness means conservatism. So they think in their head that doing this is going to get them opportunity. Well, you're going to fuck around. You fucked around, and you're going to find out, and it is what it's going to be. It's the solidarity is just, it's not there. And I don't know what it is going to be. I mean, some people just, they really think that's going to be the answer. Gotta figure it out. So sexism is self-inflicted. You know, all this feminism and women gonna. I thought, you know, after Roe v. Wade was repealed, that there was going to be a wake up call, but maybe there are clearly women who are okay with this. Was voters really undecided? Or did they say that because they didn't want to be publicly, outwardly racist? I think we have entered this era now where a lot of people are capping. Like, they're capping. They don't want a woman as president. Hillary, now Harris. They don't want a woman. They don't want a white woman. They don't want a Black woman. They don't want a woman. And other women, white women, they don't want a white woman. They don't want a Black woman. They don't care. So the grift was inevitable. I mean, the grifting is real. People made some decisions politically to advance themselves. They took the money. They took the bait. They promoted trash. People in our community spreaded misinformation. They all played into this, thinking it was going to be something. To the people who did it, to the people that entertained it, to the people that were silent, right? You know, your faves, some of your favorite rappers, performers, artists who just kind of stayed quiet this election and don't get into the politics. Well, you got, you know, well, I don't know. Kendrick Lamar, I don't know. Drake, I don't care. Like, anybody who just was like, oh, they don't want to get political, but they're going to be out here making music about this shit. Psst, psst, psst. Don't care. Don't care. Don't want to listen to it. Will not buy it. Will not download it. You will not grift the movement. You will not be silent during the time when it mattered and then turn around and want to make money or sell us your products. I'm not buying a motherfucking thing. I don't want to listen to a song. If you were not in the process, look, Taylor Swift, Beyonce, they did their thing. Billie Eilish did their thing. I'm going to keep listening to their music. I don't care about Kendrick, y'all. I don't. That's y'all fave. J. Cole, all them. Where were y'all during the election? You was making your money, living your best life, getting ready for Super Bowl appearances. Y'all spend more time beefing with each other this summer than getting people out to vote. It is what it is. Your platform is your platform, but I'm not subscribing to it. You can't make a song and say we're going to be all right and then don't be all right. It's just, it is what it is. The grift is real, right? There are going to be people like some of these progressives. Bye. You did I understand why people don't want to vote. Okay, well, people didn't vote. You said, you know, Jill Stein, I don't want to hear about Jill Stein. We're going to have a revolution. You go do that revolution. I'm not doing any marches. I'm not doing any protests. I'm going to do my black ass job. I'm going to, you know, listen. You can have those protests, the little pink pussy hats, whatever you're going to do. Go do that. If that's your response, you want to have your moments. You like all that resistance. I mean, I felt like the whole point of doing the marches and the protests and all that. The goal was so we did not get to this point again. So clearly that's not working. So if you want to do that, you can go do that. But I'm no. Any organizations, some of these progressive extreme groups that are going to ask for money I'm not giving you a dime. You go figure it out. This was the opportunity to be in solidarity, to do harm reduction. Harm reduction. I've been saying that this entire time. I knew there were problems. We all know there were problems. But you all were so loud and so, okay. So what's your plan? What's your plan now? You got to have a plan. I'm going to do what I got to do. What's your plan? Because I think you thought you can fashionably be against Harris out loud and that there was going to be enough Democrats and, moderate Republicans. Moderate. Okay. Yeah. That they were going to fill the gap and that you could just ride off the coattails. You didn't actually realize that your vote was needed like it was in 2020 to turn things around. Nope. Okay. So you go do your little march and your little protest, whatever you're going to do. You go do that and go figure that out. But I don't care. It doesn't excite me. I'm not going to redo 2016 to 2020 all over again. Like, I'm just not going to do it. History is just not going to repeat itself over here. So, all those who told us withhold our votes and all of that, yeah, you withheld your vote and you got your point across. Whatever that point was, you got it across. So, these progressives but shout out to the Working Families Party because they did their big one. But the Democratic Socialists, all these other groups, go figure that out. Go figure it out. And then the greed was unfathomable. The billionaires, wealthy people, the tax cuts, they want their breaks, they want they want their money. You got it. You're gonna I guess you'll be rich. I don't know. You'll stay rich, perhaps. I mean, they put the money over everything else. People say it was the economy. Which, I mean, to some extent, for some people, that they thought the only thing that mattered was that the eggs cost a lot of money, not realizing that in the next couple of weeks and months, the economic relief, the reduction that everyone want to come, it's going to come. And I don't know if Trump will take credit for it, but it wasn't because of him. It was because of the direction that the economy was going. I guess it didn't come fast enough for people to see the benefits, which made them think that electing Trump was going to fix that. Okay. Well, we'll see. So where does that leave me? I mean, I'm just going to continue to do my work. I'm going to continue to push through with what I got to do what I got to do. I'm going to continue to write, continue to teach, continue to do my work as a journalist. I mean, I don't know. It's unpredictable to see what's going to happen in policies. We'll see, who knows? I mean, one can say, will he get to a certain point where he's so scared that he's in that seat that he might not be as extreme given whatever, or, we'll see, hopefully those in Congress and those in the Senate, you better do the law, know the law. You better understand the law. Because at this point, he has the Supreme Court. He has the Senate. He might get the House. He's got the White House. I mean, there are some people who have a little bit of optimism, I guess. I mean, one thing for now, as the rules stand in our Constitution, for what it's worth, this is his last and final term. Presidents currently only get 2 terms in the White House. The first 2 years, without any resistance, we'll see. He will, I just hope Democrats get the House, because we had a situation where we had a president who had the Senate and had the White House and couldn't get as much shit done because the House was not under control, right? The House was Republican controlled. So if the Democrats controlled the House, then if the Democrats control the House, then we'll have a situation where, they can block some shit. It will be really hard for him to do some things. But if he has the House and the Senate, he's going to get his way immediately. So the House could block it. If it doesn't get out the House, it can't go to the Senate. That's the current situation we have right now. So because of that, we have what we have. So, on that note, let's hope that the House goes blue and that Hakeem Jeffries is the speaker, because if the House goes blue, then that could create some resistance there. So that's where we're at. But we'll see. Now, as far as Trump goes, he's already a lame duck immediately. The first 2 years of this last term, of his final term, if he gets the House, he'll do whatever. He got to do everything he wants to do in the first 2 years. Because once we get to that midterm in 2026, then what's going to happen is, a lot of folks are going to realize, again, that Trump wasn't doing what they thought he was going to do. That will then allow Democrats to potentially take back the Senate. Potentially. They might even make gains in the Senate. And so then what we might have then is a situation where, which I could predict happening because I think the blowback will be strong. That's how Democrats do. What's going to happen is that people are going to be so fired up that these next 2 years, it's going to be relentless. Democrats are going to be relentless, which then is going to allow them in the midterms in 2026 to take back the House or keep the House if they get it, if they win it, and really get aggressive about snatching back the Senate. That could potentially happen in 2026, which means that the next 2 years of Trump's term will be lame duck session. Do Vance try to make an attempt to be president next? Does J.D. Vance try? Because we'll have a new president either way in 2028. We'll have a new president either way in 2028. But that lame duck session, those last 2 years of Trump's term, might be real rough, because then you'll have the situation where you'll have the, if the midterms get snatched back, which could potentially happen, which is why I always tell people national races are every 2 years. He can get that second, Democrats could snatch back the second half and block a lot of shit from happening, because we all saw this with Biden. When you don't control every aspect or piece of the pie, you really do struggle moving things forward. That's what happened with Biden. Biden couldn't get the student loan debt stuff moved really much. That was partially because of the Supreme Court, but even through the House, certain things couldn't even go through the Senate because he got the Democrats had the Senate, but they didn't have the House. So if you can't get anything out the House, it can't go to the Senate. The Senate can't do anything without the House. And that's what we learned in this current situation. So even though Biden had the White House, he was able to do some things, but he couldn't do as much because he did not have the House. And here's the thing, you can have the House, but if you don't have the Senate, right? So things can pass through the House and reach the Senate, but if the Senate majority doesn't get what they want, it gets blocked. And that's kind of the same situation here, what we'll see with the checks and balances of government while we still have it, is that the House, right, with Democratic control, if the Democrats win the House, they can pass certain bills, right? But when it goes to the Senate, because the Republicans have the majority of the Senate, they'll block that. But then the House will block whatever the Republicans won the House, or if the Senate wants something that will have to go through the House, the Democrats will block it. So we'll be in gridlock, and not much shit will be accomplished either way for Trump, right? Executive orders, to some extent, he will have that, but there'll be gridlock. So we just really got to hope that the House doesn't get won by the Republicans, because if he gets the House and the Senate, which is a likely, then these 2 years are going to be really messy. But if he does not, there will be some nice block and gridlock, because separation of powers is real. Okay? Now, let's get to 2026, because now all odds are going to be on 2026. 2026, I do think, will be clearly an opportunity. The Republicans will not have what they have now. This is potentially a red wave, what we're watching. There is a red wave of some sorts. I mean, he's reclaimed certain states. But 2026, I do think that Democrats and other folks will step it up, and they will snatch back some things. And there will be some folks that voted for him that will see that in these 2 years, this person, he's not nodding, okay? And they will wake up and they will shift around again. But these are fickle voters, so I don't trust them in 2028. So we'll have to figure out what happens in 2028. But if Trump really bombs the second half, if there is a takeover of the Senate and the House by Democrats, then we'll have to see how that works out. Because if it goes to the president can veto. But if there is a strong majority in the House or the Senate to overturn his veto, then the laws will pass. It's time for us to understand how government works, people. At this point, you better use Google, you better read books, you better figure it out. I'm going to tell you as much as I can tell you on this podcast, but it's time for everybody to know government, not just me. We're not gatekeeping information. You gotta learn this stuff now, because if you don't, getting on the internet and being stupid is just only going to make more people stupid, and we're not going to learn anything. So we need to understand how separation of powers work. We got to understand how the branches of government work, okay? It's legislative, it's executive, judicial. Those are 3 branches of government, okay? So, you got to know your branches of government, people. Supreme Court, Congress, White House. You got to, because it's too much. It's too much. So, I won't say that I remain optimistic, but I mean, we see government. We see government on either sides. When people take over things, when people, lose things, I mean, Obama in 2008 had a massive sweep. He got the House, the Senate, the White House, all in one pill. And he was able to do a lot of big things with that Obamacare. We got to see what Trump do. Will Trump get everything? Will he get all of it? Because if he do, these 2 years is going to be really messy. If he doesn't, there's going to be some nice checks and balances. Because we saw that with Biden in 2020. Biden did not have the House. Biden got the Senate, but Biden didn't get the House. And that's why Biden couldn't get a lot of things he wanted done. I'm hoping that we have a really bold Hakeem Jeffries being the Speaker of the House, because they will really block a lot of shit. And then we'll see what happens in the midterms. Maybe the Democrats can take over the Senate and the House. And then that will really create a very horrible lame duck session for Trump. So that's my little, silver lining there. That's my little silver lining. That's all I got on that on that output. But back to the other shit. Before because I don't have a deep dive here. I don't have too much to say. Other than folks gonna have to wake up and figure it out. I guess I'll get on some progressives real quick. Progressives is not looking. Nobody wants progressives. I mean, locally maybe, but nationally, some of the stuff, some of these conversations, there's a bigger picture, people. We cannot be one issue voters. We cannot be. We cannot be one issue voters. I think progressive candidates will be a novelty. They'll be popping in like major American cities, but nationally, no. That's just what it is. White men can only be white men. So if a white man is a Republican, he runs for president, I think it's safe to say that we're going to have to run a white man in 2028. Some people are probably thinking about vice president picks. They say, well, maybe should Josh Shapiro should have been the VP pick? Would that have helped? I mean, if he would have, we would have won Pennsylvania? Maybe. It's interesting how history works, though. Hillary had a guy named Tim Kaine that everybody has now forgotten. And Harris has picked Tim Walz, who people are probably going to forget. We'll see. But what I will say in Pennsylvania about even Philadelphia, Bob Brady got to go. The Philadelphia party chair, y'all got to go find a new party chair. All that money that was spent in Philadelphia, all of those celebrities, all of that TikToking, all of that. You know, I had said a couple of podcast episodes back, during this season, there were moments where I said it was starting to feel like 2016. I was getting 2016 vibes. I talked about it early on. I mean, I'm not acting like I knew anything now. I mean, I was very hopeful. But there were moments where it did feel like 2016. The over population of energy in Philly, the obsession with Philly. Bigger crowds, bigger, better crowds, but the over obsession with Philly. I mean, it's been done. Trump did not win 2 consecutive terms. So what is the pattern here? It's just white men. People want to vote for white men. I mean, I just feel like that's where we're at. Obama was an anomaly, it feels like. He was special. He was just something different. Bob Brady got to go. It's time. It's been over 30 years. It's time to go. It's time to go. I think what I will say to Democrats is that you all so badly want people to make radical decisions, but you do not actually mirror the actual type of system that you want. You put on a facade, you cosplay every 4 years, but then you don't mirror that energy the rest of the other years in between. And what I mean by that is you cannot keep doing these hey big head outreach, okay? The Democratic Party machine in Philadelphia is part of the reason why we get in these predicaments, because you suppress the vote, you don't like competitive races, you don't like folks shaking up the table in these citywide races and these district races. You don't like the competition any other time. You want to keep the same boring old farts that's been around. You want to keep the same types of party leadership that's been weak, that's been whack for quite some time. And then you want to hope that on a miracle that the world is going to radically change and that you can be able to get everybody to care every 4 years. It don't work like that. It does not work like that. You cannot keep doing these repeat cycles. It's just not a functional way. And I was just hoping that they could pull it off this time and we can have the conversation. But I mean, at this point, the conversation was long overdue. And a lot of people were told to be quiet. A lot of people were locked out of certain spaces and places to be able to share concerns. A lot of people were not allowed to actually do the best they could to speak truth to power and to hold folks accountable in a way to get the message across. We just were not. There were problems on this campaign. And anytime you got people like myself and others that are not allowed to participate because you want to create a certain type of narrative, or you only want good vibes only, this is what happens. You block out honest voices, critical voices, voices that mean well, and this is what happens. This is a party that's going to stop having to fucking smell itself every 4 years. This is a party that's going to have to let in folks like myself, right, that are going to tell you the truth and still vote for you. You cannot just vote for sycophants. You cannot just vote for worshipers. The Republicans, that's what they do. They've mastered stand culture. They have the demagogue mindset. But you can't pull that over here. You cannot model and replicate the Trump model. That is really white supremacy. You would have to actually replicate white supremacy in order to pull that off. What I will say about Biden in 2020 was that Biden allowed himself to be with different folks from different parts of the blue, light blue, dark blue, middle blue. And that allowed him to be able to appeal and get a different level of voices. I think with certain candidates, and I'm not even speaking specifically about Harris, but I think her campaign is that they really wanted to just be with the most loyal, most fanfare folks that are those. And the only people that they were willing to engage that had different opinions from them were Republicans. But you need to engage Democrats like myself that is not going to be a big fan girl, right? But is going to say, listen, you all overall are the better option, but some of the people y'all have on your team sucks. And some of them are not going to appeal to voters. But it was blasphemous to be critical of Democrats. Like, oh, I can't tell you how many times, you all know this, that even a person like me who meant well was locked out of conversations because people didn't want to hear what I had to say or the questions I had. And so there was a lot of internal censorship of different voices that were not the voices. So you surrounded yourself with yes men. You surrounded yourselves with fans, super fans, let's be clear. And the illusion of that allowed for us to have the erosion of democracy as we're seeing it. Because that's not how democracy works. And let me be very clear, how Trump operates, that's not democratic either. But even in the democratic side of things, it was very clear they wanted certain people to be platformed. And they did not allow or want voices like mine that were going to challenge them to do things differently. And so theoretically, the way that they were doing things, it kind of spelled disaster. Except I think the perception is that because the stakes were so high, they thought they could get away with it. They thought that perhaps the democracy argument, the fear-mongering would be so strong enough that people would just not give this man this, even though we're fucking people over, we're gatekeeping, we're gaslighting folks, we're picking favorites, we'll be able to get away with this. And they didn't. Because some of those people chose to vote in a different direction. And some of those people chose not to vote at all. And some of those people really assumed that this race was pretty much a wrap. So they didn't care. So, what can I say? choices were made. And now choices are paid. So as far as I go, self-preservation is key. I'm going to self-preserve myself. Um, you know, I have a loving husband. I have a great friend group. I mean, we're gonna just keep pushing because that's all we can do. I mean, we understood the assignment, so I'm not, I'm not. I did the best I could do. Other people could have did more for themselves, for their communities. They didn't. So this is on y'all. It's not on me. I don't feel no guilt. I'm disappointed. I mean, this is a disappointing outcome. But I was able last night I went to bed. Once I heard that the Republicans took over the Senate, I was like, all right, let me go take my ass to bed. Took me some melatonin and went to bed. Because I was like, well, what's the point of staying up all night? I think I have a sense of how this was going to play out. I was like, maybe we'll hold on to the vote. Maybe we won't know how long the voting will be, but we woke up and we saw what it was. So black people are just going to have to, the black folks that voted, let me be clear, and voted the right way. We're good. We're gonna have to do the best we can. We know how survival works. We are a very um resourceful community. We know how to prepare ourselves. I mean, we did it before. We'll do it again. We just know how to do that. Other folks are just gonna have to show, because this is a showing, not telling era. Don't tell me anything. You're gonna have to show me. Show me, because talking and writing. Look, black folks that vote. I'm going to keep talking and writing because that's what I can do, and that's what I've been doing. I've been voting. I've done everything. But white people who says I'm mad, show me you're mad. Show me you're mad. Because telling me I don't care, I don't. I don't care. You're going to have to show me. And to be honest, you're not going to get a gold star, a pound of bat, or hands up, because this is the mess that you've made. So you don't get a pound of back, a thumbs up, or any of that for cleaning up a mess that you made. You just gonna have to just do it and have some humility. And if you don't, you don't. But it's all on you. It's all on you. As far as I go, I'm going to continue to do the work that I'm going to do. I told these people I had a job before this. I had a job during this. And I will have a job through this. Like, diversifying your resources, your streams, your voice, your work, everything. You just know. But some people are going to learn. Some people are going to learn. They're going to find out. They're going to learn. And it's going to be unfortunate. But a lot of times, that's the only way folks will get better. Because a lot of signs were there. A lot of people were trying to tell them way before all this. But people chose to do what they wanted to do. And to be honest, it's not much. I don't blame Harris. I don't really blame her. I don't. I don't blame her. This country failed her. She was a great candidate. I mean, as far as her credentials, what she brought to the table, she did her big one. She did the best she could. It's not her. It's the powers that be. It's the party. The party failed her. This country did. I mean, I don't blame her. But there will be, media's going to do their big one. They're going to keep talking. They're going to keep being loud and wrong, or not. We'll see. But I will tell you things I'm not going to do. I'm not going to keep acting like people don't know better. No, people know what they're doing. And we've known this for quite some time. Black queer people, black women knew this for some time. Everybody kept saying, "Oh, misunderstandings." No, people make their decisions. They made it loud and clear election. We anybody who listen, if you voted for Trump, don't talk to me. We're not friends. I'm not working across the aisle with you. You vote for Trump, okay. It's a no-brainer for me. You didn't vote this election, no-brainer for me. We're not friends. I'm not going to fight you or anything like that, but I don't care for your rationale. I don't need to know, because whatever you're saying is you're lying. See, the truth of the matter is, when I said earlier, somebody lying, they're lying. They're lying. You didn't want a woman in office. You didn't want a black woman in office. You used religion. You used everything under the sun to justify this. Well, you have to live with that decision now. And you're going to have to figure it out, because when this man shows his ass, you're going to don't say, "Can you believe that? I'm shocked." No. Sit with that, own that, and deal with it. I'm just going to remain as productive. I'm just going to be productive. I have no other choice. I just, I'm not giving up on myself. I'm not giving up on anything. I'm just being mindful of, like, we've entered a time where it is time to show up and show out. And it's not with protests, because, I mean, if people want to do that, they can, but it's just other ways we're going to have to be strong. We're going to have to just show up better in our workspaces, protect people, protect communities, do the work, read more. I mean, not myself, but other people. I mean, y'all going to have to read more. Y'all going to have to learn how to be self-sufficient more. Y'all going to have to learn that you can't just leave it in the hands of a couple of people. You're going to have to do the homework. You're going to have to figure out for yourself, because a lot of folks that have been doing this work a certain type of way, they're going to do it differently now, because they're going to have to preserve themselves and they're going to have to protect themselves. And quite frankly, they're owed that. All these black women that some of you all idolized and leaned on and wanted to be your sense of relief. Some of them are going to take a step back and just reprioritize their time and their schedule and their efforts. And they have every right to. So you're just going to have to figure it out. That's the thing that comes to my head, figuring it out. As far as I go, I'm going to do the things that works for me. This podcast is one of those things. I'm going to keep doing my podcast. I'm going to, keep moving and grooving. I'm going to keep teaching. I'm going to keep writing. I'm going to keep doing my work, because I've done it through the first Trump administration. I'll be doing it through the second Trump administration. A lot of people, we're not replicating 2016 again. Like, some of you progressives that love to run out in these streets and do all this, it's going to be, these crowds are going to be a lot smaller. Maybe they'll be larger. Maybe some people will show. I don't know. But it's just, it's the broken record effect. It's like, all these crowds, I hope all you crowds were the same ones the polls. Because if you were not, this is why we're here. So you wanted to do this. You love to be a martyr, a revolutionary. This is your cosplay. You can cosplay it. But understand that a lot of people are going to reserve their money and put it in legitimate institutions that showed up. And that's going to be the thing. So don't come over here fundraising and grifting people to support whatever these little things you're doing. It's just because y'all showed your ass. Y'all spent your time protesting outside the DNC when you should have been to RNC. You was out here protesting Harris at every rally, heckling her, and letting Donald Trump get away with Madison Square Garden. So, some of that, I mean, I know I'm pointing fingers, but I mean, at some point, somebody did something wrong. Different groups did. So, all we got to do is keep the faith and be optimistic. Like I said earlier, I'm keeping my eyes on the house. He might get the house. He gets 2 years to show his ass if he do. If he don't, come on, Hakeem Jeffries. I mean, we got 2 black women in the Senate this time around. First time ever. That's a blessing. We have a transgender member of Congress from Delaware now. That's promising. That's hopeful. That's cool. We got a black congressman from Alabama. That's dope. We'll see. We will see. So that concludes my special edition episode of Ernestly Speaking. And as always, be well and be best.
Ernestly Speaking is recorded in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and can be found on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. To stay up to date with the latest on the show, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Mr. Ernest Owens. Use the hashtag Ernestly Speaking to tell me what you thought about this episode, and check out my website at ernestowens.com.